It is 5:47, and I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Lucia Mar Unified School District Board of Education for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 to order. Let the record reflect that all board members are present, with the exception of Ms. Naomi Bernier, who is absent. I need a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
Move to adopt this evening's agenda. Second.
Motion by Santos, second by Candell. Roll call vote, please.
Santos? Yes. Mrs. Campbell? Yes. Mrs. Pham? Yes. Mrs. Blair? Yes. Mrs. Martin? Yes. Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve tonight. One from the special meeting on September 16th, and the other from our regular meeting on September 19th. If any board member would like to make amendments to the minutes, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adoption and approval.
I move adoption and approval of the minutes of our special meeting from September 16th and from our regular meeting of September 19th. Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Mayor. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Martin? Yes. Mrs. Mayer? Yes. Ms. Campbell? Yes. Ms. Pham? Yes. Ms. Santos? Yes. Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to closed session items. If any member of the public would like to comment on closed session agenda items, now would be the time to do so. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move to adjourn to closed session, where we're going to discuss conflicts with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, conflicts with labor negotiators, and public employee discipline, dismissal, and complaint. We are adjourned to closed session at 9:49 p.m. Sorry, 5:49 p.m.
It is 7 p.m. and we're going to reconvene the regular meeting of the Lucia Mar School District Unified School District Board of Education for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 to order. The board has been in a closed session since 5:49 p.m. and we have one item to report out. In today's closed session, the board heard an appeal regarding a complaint about a district employee. By a vote of 6-0, the board voted to uphold the district's sustained findings. Trustee Naomi Bernier was absent from the vote. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Fawcett to introduce our special Panther flag salute. Dr. Fawcett.
Thank you, President Stewart. And I'd like to welcome Adam Rigoni up to the mic, please. Adam, go ahead and come on up. So Adam is an 8th grader at Judkins Middle School, and he's representing his peers as an elected school secretary. Adam is a thoughtful and intelligent leader who is never afraid to speak his mind. As the head of the Campus Connections Committee, he ensures that every student feels welcome and stays informed about campus-wide events. Thank you, Adam, for representing Judkins Middle School. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Everyone, please stand. Ready, salute. And then ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Adam. Great job. You're welcome to stay if you want to hear from the other student reps, but I know it's a school night, so you're also welcome to sort of just slide on out into the back door as well. This is the first meeting of the month, and every first meeting of the month we get to hear from our student reps about the great work that's going on across our district and high school campuses. And tonight, I think, Gabriel, you lead up for Lopez, correct? Great, for alternative ed. So I'm going to invite Gabriel Lopez up to give us a report on what's going on with alternative education.
All right. Good evening, board and attendees. I'm Gabriel Lopez, and thanks for the opportunity to share with you news and events from both Lopez High and Pacific View Academy. And to start with Lopez, last Monday, we had a teacher named Miss Marissa Whitney. She joined our staff as a new cosmetology teacher. She has been a cosmetologist for 24 years and still does hair on the side at a beauty hair salon in Grover Beach. Miss Whitney graduated from Arroyo Grande High School and has teenage children in the district. This year, we are starting to teach growth mindset across the curriculum with the goal of making it part of our school culture. In case you're not familiar with the term, growth mindset is the belief that hard work and grit can be used in the face of challenges to improve one's intelligence and abilities. Its contrasts with a fixed mindset, which is the belief that one's intelligence and abilities are unchangeable, so working hard and using grit won't make much of a difference. So, we formed a partnership with the Land Conservancy of SLO to help restore a park, Kathleen's Canyon Overlook, to its native state. The park is just 1 mile south of Lopez. Students earn community service hours by removing the invasive plants, and each time they visit, they learn a little something about the native plants and animals on the site. Students can also serve by hosting a bi-monthly community food market at Lopez. We began this last spring. 2 volunteers from Women Aid collected food from the SLO Food Bank and delivered it to us, and then we distribute it to families in need. A student came up with the idea that structuring the food giveaway like a farmer's market, where students and families could shop for the food that they want. Our next food market is this Thursday, October 5th. We'll be giving away a variety of foods from eggs and cheese to fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as many pantry staples. In health, we recently hosted guest speaker Roberto Cueva from Transitions Mental Health Association, who gave a compassionate and well-received presentation about suicide awareness in honor of September being National Suicide Prevention Month. This topic has been increasingly important within the rise of teen suicides in San Luis Obispo County over the last 3 years. Our first community day a few weeks ago was a success. It was a warm, sunny day in the 70s. Students and staff got a chance to mingle and play a variety of outdoor games together. They enjoyed a barbecue tri-tip lunch provided by our food service department. Another way we are building community is through school spirit days. While Community Day occurs just once per quarter, the spirit days are much simpler in nature and take place 2 to 3 times per quarter. Our next spirit day will be at the end of the month on Halloween. Students can wear their Halloween costumes. And for PVA, we simply have a social club that has been hosted so that the high school students there will be able to meet every other Wednesday for around an hour. The club is a chance for independent study school students to spend time in person with their peers, playing games, cooking, or doing arts and crafts. That's it for Lopez and PVA, and thank you again for your support.
Thanks, Gabriel. Well done. Next up, we have Katie Slocum from Central Coast New Tech High School.
Hello everyone. Before I begin, I really wanted to draw attention to the color that myself and the rest of our New Tech leadership team is wearing. We're all wearing pink because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a cause very near and dear to my heart, and I hope you all can join me in celebrating and bringing awareness to this cause. So I hope you all are enjoying the first few weeks of fall. We certainly have. So far, our year at New Tech has been full of celebration, community building, and many amazing projects. Throughout autumn, we have many more exciting events planned that I will tell you about today, as we continue to cultivate the special culture of our school. Our ASB class has been working hard planning our homecoming dance on October 21st. The dance's theme is A Night in Miami. Instead of using the abbreviation HOCO for our homecoming dance, our class decided on GLOWCO, because this year's dance is glow in the dark. All of the lighting will be done by Central Coast Event Productions, which is owned and operated by a CCNTH student. And as part of our CTE pathway, digital media arts teacher, Mr. Oliver, has been teaching students how to DJ the dance with our very own DJ kit. Another exciting event coming up is our annual Fall Feast on October 16th. That happens the Monday of our homecoming week, where students have a day to eat food served by ASB and parent volunteers and participate in lots of activities. The reason we have Fall Feast is to reward all of our students for completing their first project of the year and to keep them motivated and excited about school. We are also planning our first senior sunrise on October 11th, where students gather on the NHS football field to watch the sunrise, then again at the end of the school year to watch the sunset. We also have our annual movie night this Thursday for our students, where we will be watching Cars, and our Student Senate will begin in October as well. Next, for some of our community events. We had a very successful Dine and Donate fundraiser at Brooks Burgers that raised money for CCNTH leadership, and we thank anyone who participated in that, as well as Brooks Burgers. We currently have another fundraiser where our students are selling Sylvester's Burger cards, and we plan on having another Dine and Donate at Raising Cane's in Santa Maria in November. Now on to academics. We invite all of you to attend our event nights and join our project panels this school year to see project-based learning in action. Please talk to our principal, Mrs. Butler, about participating. The first opportunity is our annual Math Art Night on November 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. As you know, we have 92 amazing new freshmen who come from all over the Central Coast, from San Luis Obispo to Orchid and Guadalupe. Our ninth graders are now working on their This Is Me project, combining research and communications classes, world studies, biology, Spanish, and English to learn more about themselves and what makes them unique. The students then present this information in front of the entire ninth grade class as their first presentation at New Tech. Our 10th graders are busy in their chemistry classes where they're learning about molarity, density, dimensional analysis, and unit conversion by creating a class cookbook and lava lamps. Our juniors have finished their Do Something About It project and are now working on forming their Salon Night parties. The Salon Night project is where students create their own political parties in their class and present their new party's beliefs on topics like foreign policy, healthcare, military intervention, and taxes. During Salon Night, they try to get members of the public to sign up for their political party, and the party with the most votes gets extra credit. The date for Salon Night will be released later this year, and we encourage you all to come. Lastly, New Tech's counselor, the amazing Mrs. Ortiz, and our awesome Career Center Tech, Mrs. Oxner, are helping our seniors prepare for their life after New Tech with college and career prep. We've had a very helpful college application night on September 28th, and our seniors are continuing to hear presentations from colleges in our Career Center. Lastly, all of our fall sports, band, and theater have started. Our improv troupe, Hysterical Artists, will have their first show on October 26th. In addition, the NHS Theater Company show Crotacome is debuting soon. While New Tech athletes participate in sports at Napomo, we launched our first New Tech esports team this year, where students will be competing playing League of Legends in their first regional match on October 10th. Esports are an engaging way for students to learn to use their skills to earn scholarships for college. As always, I would really like to thank my leadership advisors and thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you all next month. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Well done. And next up, direct from the 200th consecutive girls water polo win, we have Kayla Cecina from AG High School.
Hello, good evening. There you go. I'm so excited to be back this month to share the amazing activities that are going around campus and some updates regarding the points I mentioned last week. I'd like to start with our leadership program. All three classes have been busy with a multitude of events. Starting with Link Crew, who hosted a 100-foot-long banana split for the freshman class last month, where over 150 students participated. They also hosted a Where's Waldo photo scavenger hunt, where we had multiple students dress up like Waldo, and students took pictures with them. ASB has been hosting weekly lunchtime activities and have been having amazing participation. A few weeks we hosted a game day where students played ping pong, spike ball, foursquare, and other games in the MPR. We recently celebrated our amazing custodian staff on National Custodian Appreciation Day by making posters for their cart rooms and baking treats for all of them. Our student section has been packed, and we even host our first ever Neon Out with amazing participation. We also started selling spirit packs for each theme of the night of the football games, and they've been selling out weekly. Yesterday, we had our class officer election with 44 candidates, all trying for 16 positions. These officers will be busy in the weeks to come as we plan for homecoming. Speaking of homecoming, we have decided on an exciting theme this year. Our homecoming will be presented as Hollywood Homecoming. This includes each day of the week to be based off parts of Hollywood. Monday's dress up is Adam Sandler, based off the movie Happy Gilmore. Tuesday's dress up is Twin Day, based off Stunt Doubles in Hollywood. Wednesday's dress up is Minion Out, inspired by the Minion movie. Thursday's dress up is a Throwback Thursday, and to dress up like your favorite old-fashioned movie. And lastly, Friday's dress up is Pink Out, inspired by Hollywood's popular movie Barbie. To end the week, our homecoming game theme is also Pink Out, and the fun will continue onto Saturday, the day of homecoming, which is held at our MPR on AGHS campus and starts at 7 p.m. I'd like to share updates with you about our clubs and programs. We recently hosted our annual club fair with 25 clubs participating. This event showcased our diverse student body's interests, including backpacking club, baking club, and crochet club, to name a few. Over the weekend, our band/color guard and cheer participated in the Harvest Festival parade. In addition to our thespian troupe hosted a craft booth for kids. Our speech and debate program has been hard at work, both recruiting and fundraising, with a spirit night at Blaze Pizza last week. Recently, avid 12th graders went on a field trip visiting Northern California universities, including Fresno State, UC Berkeley, UC Davis, and Stanford, to name a few. Next weekend, they'll be hosting an Avid barbecue to raise funds for their program as well. Now into academics. We continue to recognize students who exhibit our core values of respect, integrity, diversity, equality, and responsibility with our Eagle expectation cards. So far this year, we've had 79 students swing by our leadership class to register their card and pick up a treat. Our ASB Commissioner of Visual and Performing Arts started recognizing 2 students as Artists of the Week. This week was Skylar Campbell and Ellie Cameron. They are given an AG Eagle smoothie from It's Really Yogurt and posted on our AGHS Instagram in recognition for outstanding work and love for their art. It's been a busy month for Career Center as they have been hosting college presentations. Coming soon is Stanford, Princeton, UCSB, University of Alabama, and Oregon State, to just name a few. And finally, in athletics. Like our Artist of the Week, we have now started an Athlete of the Week as well. For week 1, we had Max Tuggle with boys water polo and Eliana Cha from girls tennis. For week 2, we had Sophie McGeehee from girls water polo and Jonathan Aguilar from boys football. For week 3, we had Tana Long from girls volleyball and Bryce Bowen from cross country. And for week 4, we had Ava Kier from girls cross country and Ephraim from football. With that being said, football continues to win all of their league games with 2 big wins against St. Joe's and Napomo and has an away game this week against Rigetti. Girls golf won their Mountain League tournament yesterday and have a few more matches left in their season. Our girls volleyball beat St. Joe's last week, going 3-0, and have a league game this Thursday against Santa Ynez. Cross country continues to train hard in preparations for future meets, and their senior night is the 28th of October. Our boys water polo fall short to slow last week, making their record 7-1 and won again tonight against Rigetti. And lastly, our girls water polo continues their undefeated season and won their 200th consecutive Mountain League game tonight. They have their AG Fall Classic this week, which consists of 43 teams from the northern section of California and will compete Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thank you so much for letting me speak at this meeting tonight, and I look forward to sharing with you next month the many amazing things that are going on campus.
Thank you, Kayla. We do not have a report from the Napomo High School tonight. Both the president and vice president of ASB have sports conflicts. So I don't know why they chose sports over coming to being with us in the boardroom, but they did. So we look forward to hearing more from the great stuff that's happening in Napomo next week. As always, we thank you all for being here. Congratulations on the 200th win tonight. And it's just really, really great to hear all the great things that are happening through the district. And we'll see you here next month. So you're welcome to sort of sneak out if you want while we turn to items of interest from the boards. So thanks again for being here. Ms. Mayor.
So before AG leaves, I personally I know Waldo. Just so you know.
Any other items of interest from board members?
Yes. I'm related to Waldo.
Ms. Santos.
Go, because I've got the list.
Oh, you go now, fill in. Because I might take some of yours.
I'm sorry.
Better yet. 3 of us board members got to attend the meeting in Atascadero. It was awesome, and it's nice to represent your district. They kind of look up to us, and we put them in their place. No. It's nice to meet other board members, and then you come back to your own district and say, we've got it made. You know, there's with all the staff and everything you guys do and what you have taught us in work sessions and so forth, we're well informed. And I thank you guys for that. It's proud to represent you. Let's see. Oh, and she mentioned that there was the marching band from Napomo. I thought that was pretty cool. First time, and I'm glad to see that program coming back. It was great. I think there was one of the middle schools that got to participate with them together. Mesa? That was nice. It's nice. Also, on a different note, since Senator Dianne Feinstein had passed, I had the opportunity to meet her when I was in the city council. And you think such an honor, and she was, just like they said, such a nice, nice woman and stuff. And she acted like she just knew you from yesterday. That's the type of person she was. So Keep her in your thoughts. And then another thing, I lost one of my clients this last couple of weeks, and I had the opportunity to do her hair. Well, at 94, she wore hair extensions. So I figured they're not going to be able to do it. They're going to have to call me. So they did. They called me, and I put in hair extensions. And of course, you're there to make her as gorgeous as she was, and to appease the family, and that did it. So I hope in our cosmetology school that that's another area that they can go into. It's a job that not everybody wants to do, but the feeling and the pleasure and the calmness that you get by doing a client to the very end and making a family happy. And today the family came by and gave me this little pin. So very nice.
Thank you, Ms. Santos. Mrs. Mayor.
You're not going to need to do my hair, but you do a wonderful thing with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Since our last meeting, I had the pleasure of attending listening tours at Judkins, Lopez, and Shell Beach. It's wonderful walking onto our campuses and seeing mostly happy faces with our teachers. A few complaints, but those are things we need to hear. Appreciated that. And the county sponsored the ethics training at Atascadero. It's required every 2 years that we go through the training. They talked about personal financial gain and being a board member. I'm still waiting to see where that happens. Personal advantages and perks of the office. That's a pleasure serving our students, and that's considered a perk, I think, but that's not what they were referring to. Government transparency and fair processes. So it was worthwhile, and I'm hoping that the rest of our board gets the training. 3 of us are done. 2 years, we'll see. That's it from me.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Any other items of interest from board members? Mrs. Martin.
I just thought of our school district every day when I watched the news last week. And I'm very grateful that we did not have a government shutdown, because in those proposals included cuts to education. And I know I'm the one to always remind you that things that happen in the federal government do affect us in Little Arroyo Grande, and affecting our budget would be very severe, because 85 to 90% of our budget is people. And so when you think about what our budget is, it's salaries and benefits for people that work with children. And so when people far away are talking about cutting our budget, that makes me very nervous. So let's hope it doesn't happen again. The next 45 days could be very tumultuous, but I'm hopeful that they will steer clear of ever thinking of cutting education.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Any other? Ms. Kendall.
Yeah, earlier this evening we had a presentation about updates about our facilities in Measure I, and looking at the list of things that we've accomplished in the last 6 years, I think, since that passed. And I'm sure Mr. Stenson would prefer I not say anything about this, because I know he kind of likes to stay out of the limelight, but we are so fortunate to have that level of experience and integrity in what we're doing with our facilities in this district. And I'm really proud of the work we've done, and going to different school sites and facilities and seeing how things have improved in the last few years. So I just want to state that I'm grateful for the great team we have.
Thank you, Ms. Kendall. Any other?
Oh.
Ms. Santos.
As we came back home from the meeting we went to in Atascadero, I had to let my dog out to do her thing. Well, pretty soon I heard this commotion, and I thought, what in the world? So I went out there. She got into a royal fight with a skunk. Then her and the skunk came into the house underneath the bed. So I had to call the PD because there's no way I could get a skunk. And if you don't know my house, it's under construction and stuff. So there's only one bed in that house and stuff. So here the police officer comes with their masks on, and I had to go get a shovel, and we're trying to get this skunk out of her mouth from underneath the bed, get it in the trash can. And so I'm up late that night trying to get rid of a skunk smell. That's the life of a board member after being out.
Be sure and catch that in the minutes.
I'll just wrap up items of interest from the board by saying I've been out on the listening tours too. I went to Lopez Pacific View Academy yesterday and then Shelby Elementary today. It's great to see all the benefits that Measure I has afforded the district and the new facilities that are in place. It's also really illuminating to see where the needs continue to be on an ongoing basis. And as always, it's just great to get on our campuses and hear from our staff, the people that are there, the things that are going well on their campuses and where support is needed so that we remain an informed governance team. So I appreciate everybody who's making that effort to get out there and get onto our campuses and our cabinet and superintendent. And with that, I will kick it to Dr. Fawcett for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Stewart. And I'm going to continue along that vein of professional learning and professional development. I just think it's outstanding the dedication that the board has demonstrated to continual growth and learning. We've had Saturday board workshops recently. We had a workshop prior to this board meeting today, starting at 5. And then trustees, FAM and Amy Vernier also spent 3 days learning about learning and teaching and instruction. I think it's just phenomenal, the effort that everybody's putting forward to be a lead learner in the district in a phenomenal governance team. So I wanted to start by saying that. I'm also very impressed with the level of community involvement right now that we're seeing at our school sites. I had the opportunity to get out to the Napomo High School versus Arroyo Grande football game. And it was really well attended on both sides. It was Napomo's homecoming. The band sounded phenomenal out there. It was a lot of fun seeing that. And it was a lot of fun just seeing the community out having a good time and supporting the schools there. And then today, right before our board workshop, I had the privilege to get out there and see the Arroyo Grande High School water polo team, the girls water polo team, for 20 straight years, all undefeated league games is phenomenal. And they just pulled off their 200th win tonight that we've heard about a couple times, so I won't belabor the point. But holy cow, that is amazing and unheard of and unprecedented. So we have great people all the way from the trustees to the community to our students, and I just feel fortunate. That's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fawcett, which moves us to the business of the district. As a reminder, as we move to the business of the district, any member of the public may comment on agenda items as each item is presented. If you wish to address the board, please complete a speaker card. They're located at the entrance to the meeting room, and then you can provide it to Mrs. Dwight, and she'll get it up to me. For non-agenda items, there is a separate opportunity for comment at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers are normally limited to 3 minutes apiece or less, and each agenda item is limited to a 20-minute max item. We do have translation services available, so if anybody needs Spanish translations, please let us know, and we will have that provided. I would also call your attention to the last page of our agenda, where it outlines our decorum and order expectations in terms of how to address the board. Just a reminder that the Brown Act prohibits the board from responding to comment. So it's really just our opportunity to hear from you things that are on your mind. So know that we can't respond to you. And as a reminder that once an item is closed, no additional on that closed item can be offered. We actually continue to move on so we can get to the business of the district. And as I said at the end of the meeting, there'll be an opportunity to offer comment for public items that are not on tonight's agenda, but they are in the purview of the district. So they have to be about the district's business. And with that, we will turn to the consent calendar items 1 through 10. Would any member of the board like to pull an item for discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on tonight's consent calendar, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for final comment. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
I move approval items 1 through 10 for tonight's consent calendar action items.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Santos. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Mayer?
Yes.
Ms. Kendall?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to reports and presentations, resolutions and proclamations. And item number 11, report Career Technical Education CTE updates. Ms. Dixon.
Thank you, President Stewart. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome Ms. Anderson up, who's going to get our slide deck started in just a moment, to share with you updates about our CTE program. CTE is has become one of our flagship offerings across our high schools and within our middle schools, and it continues to grow, as Ms. Santos pointed out, in our cosmetology area as well as other places. So at this point, I'll hand it over to Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Thank you, Board. Tonight, I have the pleasure of talking about giving you guys a CTE update and also going over the comprehensive local needs assessment. That is something that we bring to the Board every 2 years, and it is something that's part of Perkins. So along with Perkins, which is one of our federally funded grants, we put together a comprehensive local needs assessment. So I'm going to be reviewing some of our updates and also going over the comprehensive local needs assessment, which was provided to you guys as well. So I know you guys all really know all about CTE, but again, just for anybody that's new here, it's a multi-year sequence of courses that integrates core academic knowledge with technical and occupational knowledge to provide students with a pathway to post-secondary education and careers. And that comes directly from our California Department of Education. So what's new at Lucia Mar? This year we have, okay, it wasn't off like that, just so everyone knows. I don't know what happened there, but it did look like that when I submitted it. Was that you? We have 18 pathways currently at Arroyo Grande High School, which is an increase of 2 this year, including our cosmetology here at Arroyo Grande High School, and also the professional music. I've got to commit that one to memory. The professional music pathway. At Nipomo High School, we've added professional music as well, and that increases us now to 12 pathways. At Central Coast New Tech, we have our engineering pathway back. We took a little lapse and our teacher got fully credentialed, so now we have that pathway back. So they're back up to 4 pathways. And again, with Lopez, as we saw last year, we have our cosmetology pathway still there as well. That gives us for our district 35 pathways, which spans over 13 industry sectors, and of those, 16 of those courses are dual enrolled for our students, which means they can earn not only high school credit, but college credit with Cuesta. So let's go over some of the additions. From last year, as we know, we added Lopez High School was the first time that our alternative ed setting had a pathway, and that was cosmetology. Nipomo High School expanded with education, as well as Arroyo Grande expanded with film and multimedia productions. This year, our additions, as I've just said, AGHS has cosmetology, and we've added professional music to both AGHS and Nipomo. Right now, we're in the exploratory phases of looking towards what could be potential pathways additions for next year. These have been proposed to me so far, and that is we're exploring culinary, possibly at PVA and Lopez High School, and offering it at the, sorry, Andy, he doesn't know this yet, but adding it to possibly the where PVA has the kitchen currently. We're also exploring the expansion of patient care at Arroyo Grande High School. These are some updates that we have on different projects that have been ongoing. Last year, we upgraded the let me start back. Middle school, we have purchased Mac computers for the three middle schools that feed our CTE programs at the feeder high schools. We've also redid the lab at New Tech. It was owned by Cuesta, and it was a Mac lab, but for the classes that Jen Rushing was teaching, it was better to have an HP lab, so we've transferred that over now. And she also has a gaming section, a gaming part of her lab. We also helped support Z-Space at Napomo High School. We are currently anxiously awaiting our state board approval for cosmetology. It's still in the awaiting, we're waiting just to hear from the state. We have our new culinary building with the hope that we will be in at spring break time. Some new things that we have going this year moving forward is we're doing a barn refresh at Napomo High School and in the animal unit. And one thing that's on the horizon is to explore culinary at PV8 and Lopez High School, as I mentioned, for the following school year. Now, some events that we have and we've had in the past and we're continuing to have. Last year, we had career fairs at all 3 of the middle schools. We have had a CTE advisory breakfast, which is coming up again in a week. So I know I'll get to see a few of you there. That's awesome. CTE Showcase and Student Spotlight, that is something that we host towards the springtime, and it's where we do our annual CTE scholarship. This year we awarded 7 scholarships from that evening. The first year was 3, the second year was 7, so we were very proud of that. This year was also our first time to be invited to and host a career fair on an elementary campus, and so they invited us, so CTE went. And we are also expanding our CTE outreach. Every month, a pathway will be showcased at the farmers market in Arroyo Grande, and this Saturday will be AGHS, and they will be selling pumpkins and wreaths and other such fall events, fall stuff. And so every month we just want the community to know, what is CTE, what are we doing here in our schools? And we got to be the first outreach, and it really was amazing to hear the community come up and say, wait, you guys have this in school? Yes, we do. And so it's really good. We're just trying to really expand our community's knowledge of what CTE is. This year we have a new event coming up. It's going to be called the CTE Career Conference, and it's going to be hosted at Napomo High School on January 26th. And we are going to run it like any kind of conference that you or I would go to. And so the students have a real understanding. So a student's going to have the opportunity to, in advance, choose their breakout sessions, and they'll have an opportunity to have a real live career conference. And it will be showcasing pathways that are within our community. More information will be shared with you guys later on that. Now, some new opportunities or continued opportunities for our students in CTE. We are continuing our internship program with Ms. Rowe, and it is up and moving, and we have new community partnerships where our students are getting real internship opportunities. Our CTSOs, we currently have FFA, Skills USA, HOSA, Thespian Festival, Elevator Pitch. Basically, these are opportunities for our students to go and compete and demonstrate leadership abilities amongst their peers and it's like competition events. We have expanded offerings from Cuesta and dual enrollment. We have continued collaboration with middle school and high school. This year we have expanded. Now we offer OSHA 10 certificates for construction, ag mechanics, and automotive. This year also, we will be having Adobe certifications for students in digital media. And we are continuing to explore adult education and CT offerings, but we do have it. We will be starting as soon as we're state board approved with cosmetology. Next steps. This is that came out of the comprehensive local needs assessment with our business partners, that we need to expand industry certificate offerings. This came from our business partners, and that's where we came. We've expanded with OSHA 10, Adobe. that our industry partners wanted to see more relevant certificates. So that was one of their suggestions. Another suggestion was to expand the adult ed collaboration, which we're working on. Dual enrollment certificate alignment, where what the student is taking at Cuesta, that certificate can then align with what we're offering here at our sites. That's something that is a work in progress for this year, and to expand our CTE outreach. Thank you, and I will take questions at this time.
Thank you. Questions from board members?
Have you ever thought of having like a flyer of some sort so that way Joe Public can find out what we're doing in schools? Because we've had people attend and say, what do you guys do? Well, sweetheart, this is some of the things that we do. I mean, I mentioned to Andy that we need some kind of information of where the bond money went and where it was spent. Well, this is also to add to that. This is what we're doing. This is what you're going to receive.
We do have a flyer, Ms. Santos, some really nice publications, and we can work with Dr. Fawcett on additional places to put them.
I just want to inform the public. This district is doing a lot.
And we haven't updated, we update the information on our website as well with those publications as well.
Yeah. Or maybe put it in one of the business flyers or whatever that goes out so people will know.
Mrs. Mayor.
Is there any communication dialogue with other districts and their CTE programs going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. There is. I met recently with Paso Robles and San Luis Obispo, and I meet monthly with dual enrollment, which a lot of times is with the CTE. I meet monthly with them as well. Thank you.
Martin and Ms.
So on the dual enrollment, I just have a question about the U.S. history, because that seems one of the only real core classes that we're dual enrolling. Do they have to take both sections before 1865 and then after 1865 to get that credit?
If they're taking it as dual enrollment within our school day, yes, that is correct. They're taking both 207A and 207B to get their 10 units.
Great.
That's correct.
Ms. Kendall.
Yeah, I wonder if you've had any, like one of the high-paying sectors in our county and also in demand is the building trades, and whether you've been able to connect with our partners in local
our trade unions.
Yeah, like IBEW. I know they have an apprenticeship program, and I know other school districts have linked with those organizations to have pre-apprenticeship programs. Is that something that might happen in the future?
Yes, we work with them. They are going to be one of our speakers actually at our career fair, and I also get to attend a lot of their meetings, and they're always invited to all of our career fairs. Also, they are also part of our advisory committees.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Have we ever thought about like the police departments, or does that fit in with the
public safety?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we work with them as well.
Are they going to be showing up at the fair thing? All agencies, or just the sheriff's department, or what?
Which agencies are available at that time?
We invite many of them, and then we'll see who's able to join us on the days that our career fairs are scheduled.
Okay, because if they want to meet with us for coffee, we can say, okay, as long as you meet with us for.
Exactly.
If you have anyone who's interested, then you please have them reach out to Ms. Anderson, and we can see if a career fair would be right.
And then as you're sitting here, you think back in the days when Joe Books was here, when we had the programs back then, and have we come a long ways? The bakery.
Could you remind me what CTSO stands for again? I'm assuming it's Career Tech something.
Yes, I had to triple check myself. It's Career Technical Student Organizations.
Great, thank you for that. And then just out of curiosity, where it says expand industry certificate offerings, is that like a culinary student would graduate with a safe serve?
That is correct, and we do offer that as well.
Awesome.
They have to have that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions from trustees? We'll open it up to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 11, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for final comment.
Looking forward to the breakfast next week.
Yes. Keep going.
And thank you for the great work you're doing. We're really
Right. We're so proud.
excited. This is a report only, so we're going to close item number 11 and move on to item number 12. A report, Career Technical Education CTE Updates. Ms. Dixon. Nope, sorry. Item 12, report approval, comprehensive local needs assessment for career and technical education CTE programs. Ms. Dixon.
Thank you, President Stewart. As Ms. Anderson just reviewed, the comprehensive local needs assessment basically is inclusive of a report of where we are with career technical education and some ideas for where we're headed in the future. So we don't have an additional slide deck or anything to share with you this evening, but you did have an opportunity to review the comprehensive local needs assessment, which was included in your packet. And so with that, we're happy to take any questions you may have and hope for your approval this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Questions on item numbers 12 from board members? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 12, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for comment. Seeing none, we are being asked for approval, so I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of comprehensive local needs assessment for career technical education programs.
Second.
Motion by Candell, second by Santos. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Candell?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Mayer?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us tonight. Which moves us to item number 13, the approval of the fiscal year 2022-2023 unaudited actuals and the fiscal year 2023-2024 45-day revised budget report. Mr. Eichenperker.
Thank you, President Stewart. I would be remiss if I didn't start with a huge thank you to Director Siebert and the business department. The 45-day revise was that overarching, where are we with from the June budget that was approved to today at the start of the year. This evening, we have the unaudited actuals, meaning we've rolled over the 22-23 school year, and we are now looking at what those revenue implications are for current year and our carryover from last year. So we'll be doing the 30,000-foot view of both our unaudited actuals from the 22-23 school year and our estimated revenues for our current school year. But I do need to thank Director Siebert and the budget department, because typically this report would be being presented in September. And if we recall, during the 45-day revise, we talked about the cyber incident with SLOCO that occurred right at rollover. And I just feel that it's important to continue to highlight the hard work of our business department and redoing things that had to be done manually and continuing to work through those challenges in an attempt to keep us on track in terms of our budget for the current year. So our estimated actuals or our estimates versus our actuals, looking at 22-23. So as I said, we had this picture of what we thought our revenues for last year were going to be, and then what they actually were. So our unrestricted general fund revenue was an estimated $122,674,149. The unaudited actuals, or what we actually received for that 22-23 school year, was slightly less, $121,205,640. And the question is, well, why was it different? Why were the revenues down over $1 million? Well, that is thank you to GASB 31 and the fair market value, where we actually assess what our money is doing in the county treasury. and the market value was a loss of approximately $600,000. So the county treasury is considered our safest investment pool. Remember, that is where all of the school districts house their money before we pay our staff. And it is the safest place. And what really ate away at that market value is that persistent inflation. So we have compounding inflation and an underperforming stock market. So the fair market value was actually 97.14% for the 22-23 school year. Remember, we're looking in the rears one full year. And in a normal year, it's closer to 99%. So there was a little bit of a loss in terms of revenue. But the thing that we need to remember is it's really not a loss because we haven't, the money's still sitting there. It is an accounting thing that the state has us do, and then we book it for our requirements, and then it gets depreciated, and then the money's put back in for 23-24. So it's an accounting thing to show that the fair market value of our money sitting in the treasury has lost some value. When you look at the expenses, you say, well, why are our general fund expenses down $1 million? Well, there's two things that led to those expenses being down. One is utilities. We had estimated slightly higher utilities costs. They came in a little lower for 22-23, and then election costs were below our estimates as well. Add to that departments hadn't fully expended their budgets, so that will remain as ending fund balance, and then site carryover occurred. However, I want to caution you thinking that site carryover, the sites get to keep that. So it shows as not being expended. However, they'll have the ability to spend that during the 23-24 school year. Big picture, that 30,000 foot view, we're getting mixed signals. And part of that is some caution signs, meaning there was this brinkmanship that occurred at the federal government. I'm going to steal Trustee Martin's tumultuous times. We really saw this stopgap measure based on possible government shutdown. And while that can was kicked down the road for 45 days, one of the proposals talked about cuts of 80% to Title I. And just to think about that budget and where those dollars go, those go to intervention, they go to people. And so this idea of an up to 80% cut of Title I if there was a shutdown as one of the proposals, emphasis one of the proposals, that is a mixed signal of, hey, there's some uncertainty there. Added to that, the fact that we don't know our personal income tax, which is one of the big three revenues, right? That puts us in a situation where the state doesn't exactly know what the revenues are going to be for the current year. Add to that other caution sign of persistent inflation, we go, okay, there's some cooling in the market that we have to worry about. The positives that we get to balance that with is Proposition 98 increase. We are maintaining the reserves at the state level, and there's that robust rainy day fund that is still there if there are those fiscal challenges at the state level. Continuing with those mixed signals, some more positives. The LCFF base grant did increase. Remember, this is when we talk about that idea of the 8.22 COLA. I do want to remind you that that is tied to ADA, and that is our average daily attendance. It is not an automatic increase of revenue of 8.22%. However, I do want to share that, and it's captured in a slide a little bit later, our enrollment is looking really good, but I'm going to leave that just hanging. For Lopez, we do also have that equity multiplier, and that was an additional approximately $31,000 specific to Lopez that will be providing opportunities for the school site. They have been conducting outreach to community members, to parents, to students, and to staff to determine what that potential ongoing funds will be spent on. Other caution signs, however, are the cuts to one-time grants. So we saw this increase of a COLA, yet it was at the expense of some one-time funds. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And this idea of deficit spending, which is something we're told never do. Don't spend ongoing funds with one-time money. Yet, unfortunately, that was part of the budget this year at the state level, is that 8.22% COLA was funded on the reduction of other one-time funds. So there is a deficit for the state, and I shared that that there was some one-time funding that was cut. But what are those deficit drivers? Meaning, where is there not enough money? And really, it goes to that LCFF funding, right? There are expenses that we still don't know if the revenues are there. Part of that is, again, the uncertainty around the personal income tax. Now, that cliffhanger that I left in terms of enrollment, I know this is the slide that you saw last time, only now you see, instead of to be determined for the 23-24, these are our numbers from month one. So I want to really highlight the fact that our month one enrollment was 9,619 students. Now, let's put it in perspective. Back in June, the assumption was a reduction of 150 students, meaning that declining enrollment that we've seen for countless years. We're up 25 students from last year from CBEDS. 175 student swing, just to put it in perspective, that is increase of 287,000 for those additional students. So if you think of a swing from negative assumption of 150 less students and a decrease of $1.7 million because of decline in enrollment to gaining students, that's almost a $2 million swing if our numbers hold. So I say that cautious optimism is important to consider because we still don't know what the state revenues are going to do with property or our personal income taxes, but we are hopeful that our enrollment stays strong and that our attendance remains high as well. So what are some other assumptions in terms of that snapshot from last year compared to this year? I talked about the declining enrollment already. We're up. That's positive. Certificated reductions, we had the assumption of reducing staff by 0.5 because of that declining enrollment. We're hovering right around 4.8. There are going to be some tweaks to that, so don't quote that as we're going to stay at that reduction. We're already looking at some partial adds in terms of FTE related to some program needs. This one, the next bullet I'm really excited about, our average daily attendance for month one was 94.91%. That's really good because our projection was 93%. So when we think about the importance of positive attendance, it's not just because it's part of the funding, it's the kids are here to learn. They can't learn if they're not here. So that number of almost 95% is very encouraging to me, knowing that our pre-pandemic numbers ranged between 95 and 96%. So that it is very positive to see that swing in the right direction for kids being at school. The last item is one that we're still watching it very closely. It's our unduplicated pupil percentage estimates. Our assumption was that we were going to maintain a 60%, which was our 3-year rolling average, and our current unduplicated numbers as of yesterday morning were 56.6%. 0.57%. Now, that is very important because this is directly tied to our Title I and our supplemental concentration funds. So it's really important. I know parents have been getting that Parent Square notification every day. Hey, you have to do your data confirmation. Our site secretaries have been doing a wonderful job reaching out to families, trying to make sure that they finish their data confirmation. One, because we want to make sure we have correct contact information for our students, but also because this is one of the key areas that determines our unduplicated student count. There's that data confirmation. So it's really important. Our sites will continue to work on that, and that will be a number that I will be watching very closely with Rhonda and the rest of the business department. Next is one-time revenues. I had shared that 8.22 COLA came at a cost. So the cost is reductions. So this is the amount of monies that were reduced in terms of our one-time funds related to the current budget. So the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, there was a reduction of approximately 14.4%, or just under $1.8 million. The Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant was reduced by 5.6%, which equates to approximately $336,000. And then the ELOP, this one's a little different because this one's a yearly ongoing. There was a reduction of approximately 4.2%, and that could be a reduction of about $215,000 each year. So important next steps, we want to continue to promote positive attendance. So that is something that I know is a district-wide effort. We've been working with our administrators in PAC on attendance strategies and getting students to school. Why? Because they have to be here to learn. And we will continue to emphasize that attendance campaign district-wide. We will also be watching the personal income tax information as it becomes available. We are hopeful that it will be a fun and happy Halloween and not a super spooky, scary one, as we're waiting on those income tax revenues to come in. And in December will be the next official multi-year projection for Team Lucia Mar, and that will be where we take our unaudited actuals, 45-day revisions, and updated expenses, and you will have an opportunity to see what that first adjustment to the budget that you passed in June will be. Any questions?
Ms. Martin.
I have two questions. First is the easy one on the attendance. District-wide pajama day after Halloween. It's a big attendance day, November 1st. So start getting those principals thinking about what they can do to get kids to school the day after Halloween, because it's on a Tuesday. It's not good for us. The question I had was, what are we doing to be able to really get out there, whether we're having tables out in front on that data confirmation? Those funds are really important to us. I've been in an event where all the phone numbers are not right on an emergency card and having to wait for parents to show up. Whether we're having tables at our back to school nights and any of our activities, even at a football game at AGHS, hey, do your data confirmation, and having someone translating those data confirmations for a lot of those families.
That table at after school extracurriculars is a great idea. I will bring that up. I do know that our sites have been doing one-to-one calls, whether that's translated or not. And there are some sites that have also been promoting, we'll call it recruiting the students to support that discussion with their parents. In fact, one of our elementary sites, students will have an opportunity to have a pizza party if they hit a certain percentage of getting those data confirmations completed. So it's definitely any ideas that if you want to share after we're offline, please feel free to provide a couple, and I will make sure that our sites implement as many of them as they can.
Because I've been one of those people that hound them on my own site.
Any other questions from board members?
Yeah.
Ms. Santos.
And the busing, Are we needing more busing or no? Or and with this gas the way it's rising, is it affecting our budget to a big?
Fuel costs obviously are part of that budget. In fact, it was shared with me just this morning that our district's tax rate for diesel fuel has gone up as well. Don't quote me on it. It was 3.5%, and it just went up to over 7% starting November 1st. So we will see some increased tax rates related to our fuel consumption. We do still need drivers. So if you know anyone that is interested, we are doing a training session to train some bus drivers. We are still short some routes that we would like to add staff back.
Any other questions from board members? Just out of curiosity, do we have a sense of what is helping to offset the expected declining enrollment that's not declining at the moment? Is it a TK offset, or are we seeing it at a grade level?
Some of it is TK. In fact, we did add a TK after the school year started at Branch. I'm happy to report we have 12 kiddos in that classroom. I saw them today, all smiling faces, and that was something that we were thinking was going to be put in place next year. So we are seeing that additional growth. There is that early educational growth. TK is one of those areas. And then it's some sporadic different grade levels. It really is a smattering across the board. And our secondary levels are remaining a lot firmer than they have in the past, meaning we're not seeing quite as much of a reduction at the start of the year at our secondary level.
Great news. Yeah, thank you. If there's no other questions from board members, we'll open it to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 13, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for comment. On behalf of the board, I will also express our gratitude to Ms. Siebert and her team, and to Mr. Eichberger and your team as well, for making it just a really sort of an easy, accessible snapshot of the story of the district with financials. So thank you for that. Yep. With that, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
I move approval of fiscal year 2022, 2023, and audited actuals, and fiscal year 2023, 2024, 45-day revised budget report.
Second.
Motion by Mayor, second by Martin. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Mayer?
Yes.
Mrs. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Candell?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to item number 14, the public hearing for the annual district GAN appropriations limit. Mr. Eichberger.
Thank you, President Stewart. Our next two items are actually coupled together. And each year we are required to look at the GAN appropriation limits. And this does date back to Proposition 4 in 1979. So it's a calculation under Government Code 7902. And ultimately it is where the district is required to hold a public hearing prior to the adoption of these new limits. So item number 14 is that public hearing.
And with that, we will open the public hearing for the annual district GAN appropriations limit at 8:06 p.m. If any member of the public would like to comment on this item, now would be the time to do so, to come up to the podium and offer your comment. Seeing no movement, we're going to close this public hearing at 8:07 p.m. and move on to item number 15, approval, adoption of resolution A-2324-06, district GAN appropriations limit. Mr. Eichberger.
So as you can see, the GAN appropriation limit difference between 22-23 and the estimated appropriations limit for the 23-24 school year has increased, meaning it will be going from approximately 78 million up to approximately 8.6 million.
Thank you, Mr. Eichberger. Any questions from trustees on item number 15? Seeing none, we'll offer a final public comment on the GAN item. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 15, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the board, we're going to close public comment for item number 15 and bring it back to the board for final comment. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and adoption.
I move approval, adoption of Resolution A 2324-06, District GAN appropriations limit.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Candell. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Candell?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Mayer?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to items scheduled for discussion, possible action. Item number 16, approval, acceptance of donation from the Five Cities Men's Club for the Arroyo Grande High School Auxiliary Gymnasium Project, and approval of a joint use agreement between the Lucia Mar Unified School District and the Five Cities Youth Basketball. Mr. Eichperker.
Thank you. I actually have some guests with me for this item. So this is very exciting item. Background on it, I just really quickly, if you recall, the board has allowed us to look at the auxiliary gym being constructed at Arroyo Grande High School, and I want to allow Executive Director Stenson to share this item.
Good evening. Thank you very much. We have a celebratory item here this evening. So with me, I have to my right, we have Jay Johnson from the Five Cities Men's Club, and to my left, we have Vard Ikeda also from the Five Cities Men's Club. And President Stewart, with your permission, I'll sort of present the item here, and then if you're good with that, I'd like to give both of these gentlemen a chance to say hello to you. So
absolutely.
So brief historical context. Right shortly after we passed Measure I, we built this into our project list before we went out for Measure I, and so we've been working ever since then on plans for a second gymnasium at the Arroyo Grande High School campus. And there have been twists and turns and changes in where it might go, where it would best go. So at this point, we're all systems go on this second gymnasium. Remember, the Arroyo Grande High School, the original gymnasium, the one that's used now for their athletic events and practices, is a very small gym. Compared to neighboring districts. The restrooms are not even in the gym. You've got to go into the locker rooms, constructed in the 50s and so forth. So the need is certainly there, in terms of additional practice space, and also a really big piece of this is the benefit to the community. And that's what I think these two gentlemen behind me will speak to. So we've gone through the mitigated negative declaration process as part of CEQA. We had two comments. You approved this 2 months ago. We had two comments come back, both from governmental agencies. So we're ready to start. Reminder for this gym: construction is incredibly expensive, as we know. We talked about that earlier. The idea with this gym is that it would be a practice gym. It wouldn't be the gym. We might have lower level tournaments that take place in here, but it would primarily be for practices and for physical education classrooms during the day. Because construction is expensive, there weren't a whole lot of amenities that we had the budget space to build into this gym aside from the shell of the building itself. So the plans now would be incorporate a small foyer with the legal requirement for number of restrooms, ADA parking places. Had a meeting with the city a couple weeks ago. We are now on the hook for curb gutter sidewalk along Castillo del Mar, the south side of the Arroyo Grande campus, which we anticipated but didn't know for sure. And so in negotiating and working with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Ikeda and their teams, they've brought in an infusion of significant dollars. I've sat in this room. Raquel reminded me when she got here this evening, I've sat in this room for a lot of meetings. I don't know that I've ever heard of a donation of this size in the district. So these gentlemen and their team members have come forward with a donation that would carry $500,000 from Neil Wilhoit, who never had a chance to meet Mr. Wilhoit, 30-year member of the Arroyo Grande community, philanthropist, very civic-minded, and he left money because he was a big supporter of youth athletics, in particular youth basketball. So he left money aside to help build a facility such as this. And so for those $500,000, we'll be able to construct what we call 2 team rooms. So this gym will not have locker rooms, okay? But with this infusion of money, that gives us the available dollars to build 2 small team rooms. So it would be about 200 square feet each, and that's where a team could go and meet with their coach before the game, halftime, after a game, okay? And without these dollars, we wouldn't be able to add that amenity. And then also the 4 scoreboards. So we anticipate by the time we get to building this gym, those 4 scoreboards will cost in total about $106,000. And so we would provide naming rights of one of those 4 scoreboards. We'll have advertising on the top of the scoreboard or the bottom, depends, and then perhaps some opportunity for naming underneath it or multiple advertising spots. So we would have the men's club mentioned on a scoreboard, and they would then donate $126,000 for outdoor amenities, which would be some poured in place benches, concrete seating areas. Perhaps a shade structure or an attached shade structure as you enter into the foyer. And then the other piece would be that the 2 team rooms would be named after Mr. Wilhoit. They'd be called the Neil Wilhoit Team Room Home and Neil Wilhoit Team Room Away. 25-year term on this agreement. And we have all the safeguards. You've seen the legal document. We have all the safeguards, making sure that advertising, naming meets all of the board policies and so forth. So I think we have a really strong opportunity to partner with these gentlemen and their team and Mr. Wilhoit and his family, of course, to provide a tremendous facility for our students at AG, athletics at AG, but also the broader community. So. With that, with your permission, I'll let these 2 gentlemen say hi.
Thank you, Andy. For some of you who don't know me, my name is Bard Ikeda. I'm a 3rd generation local here in Arroyo Grande. I'll try to keep this short. I promise, Andy, under 20 minutes. I know you know I'm joking. Well, first of all, I want to thank Jay. He's been by my side. We started on this trek over 25 years ago when we were trying to provide gym space for our kids. Well, that turns into now it possibly might happen for our grandkids. And that's just the way things go. We've stuck with it all this time. And this gym facility, auxiliary gym, checks a lot of the boxes. And we want to thank you guys for having the same vision that we do. This is a historic occasion for us, not just because we're old, but because it's a collaboration between the school district and the community that's going to be enjoyed for years to come. Our nonprofit board worked for years, meeting after meeting after meeting, and working with architects, looking for local gym sites, traveling all over the place to find gymnasium ideas, on to fundraising and on and on. Well, we did gather some momentum at times, and fundraising, some of those funds eventually went to our board, the 5 Cities Community Service Foundation, owning Camp Arroyo Grande, which is right here above the village of Arroyo Grande. We did that for the community. So a lot of those donations we got, they went to good use. We've got approval from everyone, and it's turned out. We never planned on being camp directors, but that's another story for another time. That being said, we still have some significant donations, and I'll let Jay speak to those right now, and then I'll say a few words after.
I'm Jay Johnson, and I'm just actually, I was a member of the last graduating class from the Arroyo Grande Unified School. The next year, Lucia Mar came in, so I was the last one from the old school. Like Bard said, we've been working on this for, I think, maybe 26 years. The way this started, in 1996, the 5 Cities Men's Club created a 501c3 called the 5 Cities Community Service Foundation. And the main purpose of that was to get donations for a gym or a multi-use facility. And we raised a lot of money for that. And then 2008 hit with the crash, and a lot of things happened. We've been working on this for years. Like Bard said, now it's for our grandkids, but it's finally going to happen, and it's a really good it's a really good public-private situation where this building's going to be in the back of the school district, so that the public can go without mixing in with the school. And it's for the community and the school together, kind of like the Clark Center. It's a great project, and it's a multi-use too. I mean, it's not just going to be for sports. There's all kinds of other things can be down in that building anyway. And I got the checks. I'll give it back to Vard.
Right. Thanks, Jay. So we're thrilled to, provide these checks to add some amenities to give this auxiliary gym more of a community feel. We have envisioned, physical education classes, youth basketball games, music, educational events, performances, and on and on and on. And as a past varsity girls basketball coach here at Arroyo Grande High School, who was charged with squeezing in gym time all over the whole district, I speak from experience when I say that there's a lot of coaches that are going to be really happy having more gym space. So, and we still have a lot of work to do. I want to thank Andy, who's been a rock through all of this. It's been really a pleasure working for him. We work with Mike Sears and Nancy Depew and Renee Daly and now Paul Fawcett. Everyone's been top notch. I'm sure I forgot. Thank you to all of them. I'm sure I forgot and left some people out. And sorry if I did. But Jay and I also want to thank our other board members. I just want to mention them real quickly. Mike Miner, Pat Cusack, Dave Ekbaum, Alan Buck, and Bill Garish, along with a couple other community members, Nate Alvarado and Jim DeCecco, who have been, encouraging us since day one. So thank you for sharing our vision for the community. We realize that you guys are pulled in many directions, but know that this facility is going to be a beautiful addition to the community and to the high school, and it's going to be appreciated by our grandkids and for generations to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hate to leave these here.
We'll wait till they approve the item. We stand ready to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions from board members?
Don't leave.
Don't leave.
Don't leave. We're going to take a picture.
Seeing no questions from board members, we'll open up to the public. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 16, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board to comment.
I would just like to say thank you to the Five Cities Men's Club. There's many projects that you've done in this community, and I know your parents or knew their parents. They were kids. His mom would come into the hair salon, and she always wanted to speak Spanish. She spoke it better than I did. So, and I've known Jay since he was ever a police officer. So we go a long ways. But thank you guys for all of the work in the community that you're going to serve. It's tremendous for our district.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you to the Five Cities Men's Club. One of the things every day when I go past Paulding on my way to Orchard Road to go up to San Luis to work, I noticed the stone wall that you guys redid many years back. And so your efforts don't go unnoticed. That stone wall meant a lot to people in the community. That's when you take the turn, it was crumbling, and Five Cities Men's Club came out there with their gloves on and reworked that whole wall for us. I'm excited about the courts. I remember my dad, who worked with the Five Cities YMCA, and you guys are working on getting courts over there near the women's club. And you see the lights in that little dirt parking lot? That was going to be basketball courts at one point. I mean, this has been a project going on for decades in this community. So the fact that the school district, who caretakes our community's children, is partnering with another group that caretakes for children is a great way to go. And knowing that Mr. Stenson's at the helm, it will all get done right. So we thank the family of Neil Wilhoit for donating that money, the $500,000 in the Five Cities Men's Club. And thank you very much. And we don't want you to leave without a picture with those checks. Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I would just like to say thank you too, and thank you for mentioning the names of the men that are running your organization. I just have to say Nathan Alvarado is a Grover Heights drag.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Mr. Johnson's daughter and my son were the king and queen
There
together.
you go.
Just so you know, at the Paulding Renaissance Fair, it was Queen Hannah and King Tommy. So there you go.
Nice.
I will offer my thanks as well. I know this has been a long time coming, so I just want to thank you for your persistence in this project and your just generosity of spirit and wallet as well. It's going to do a lot for the AG High School community and the greater community at large. So thank you for that. And with that, I will entertain a motion for approval and acceptance of the donation.
I move approval, acceptance of donation from the Five Cities Men's Club for the Aurora Grande High School Auxiliary Gymnasium Project and approval of a joint use agreement between the Lucia Mar Unified School District and the Five Cities Youth Basketball.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Santos. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Mayer?
Yes.
Ms. Candell?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Can we get a-
Amy, can you come up get a quick picture real quick? It won't make you stand up.
Okay.
Come on up.
Get a picture with Don.
Jump through here real quick.
Men only, it's the Five
Hold
Cities.
that.
Limbo.
Yeah.
That's why it's our chance.
No, why don't you come up around, receive the checks.
Yeah, Don, you go. It's the men.
We'll do right here.
Great. And you too.
Okay.
It's a woman taking the picture, though.
Perfect. Checks for everybody. All right. Gonna do a couple. Part where I fake you out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
That mean a thank you note, Ms. Secretary?
I wrote them a thank you note when they did the rock. I'll write them a thank you note for this.
Which brings us to item number 17. Approval, award of contract to Edwards Construction Group, Inc. as general contractor at Dana Elementary School for air conditioning project number 0590 out of Bond Fund 21. Mr. Ike Perker.
This is yet another amazing project that is occurring out of our Measure I funds, and this will be adding air conditioning to Dana Elementary. So one of our warmest sites when we think about climate change and impacts, this site would benefit from all of their classrooms having air conditioning at the end of the build.
Those classes are going to perk up after.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ike Perker. Questions from board members? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 17, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for comment.
We used to fight over the portables when I taught at Dana. At Air.
Of course.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Great news. It's going to improve learning for sure.
Yeah.
Great. And seeing no comments, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
Go ahead. I move approval to award a contract to Edwards Construction Group Incorporated as general contractor at Dana Elementary School for air conditioning project number 0590 Bond Fund 21.
Second.
Motion by Mayor, second by Martin. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Mayer?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Candell?
Yes.
Ms. Pham?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Which brings us to item number 18. First reading, revision of board policies, administrative regulations, exhibits, and bylaws. Dr. Fawcett.
Thank you, President Stewart. We've brought back another batch for you. We're getting very close to being all caught up. And then CSBA has released their quarterly updates on policies again in September. So we're working on those now. So this is the first read, and these policies have been reviewed by staff and our legal counsel, and their reflection of current updates to education code and other laws. So they're before you tonight for your consideration. Any questions you may have? Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Fawcett. Questions from board members? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. If any member of the public would like to comment on item number 18, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the board for comment. Seeing
I just want to say, slogging through all of these policies, I do appreciate the opportunity as a new board member to read policy for many, many, many hours.
Thank you, Ms.
Welcome
Cantel.
to the team.
Yeah. Seeing no other comment, this is a first reading. We will be bringing it back at a future, most likely the next meeting, for a second reading and possible approval and adoption of these policies. That brings us to public comment on items not on tonight's agenda, but within the purview of the district. If any member of the public would like to comment on items not on this evening's agenda, but within the purview of the business of the district, now would be the time to do so. I do not have any speaker cards, but I will open up opportunity for anybody to come up and offer. Seeing no movement in the boardroom, I'm going to close public comment on items not on the agenda and move to adjourn. Our next regularly scheduled meeting of the Lucimar Unified School District Board of Education is scheduled for October 17th, 2023. With that, we are adjourned at 8:29 p.m.